I'm meeting with Cass.
First thing we have on the agenda is streets and sidewalks. Mr. Sidoti.
Mr. Mayor, that one has been
Up.
changed because the gentleman who was supposed to be here is not going to be here tonight, so.
All right, that's my understanding.
Yep.
Health and public safety, Mr. Amrhein.
Yes, the Bryce Fire Safety Follow-up.
Yeah, I have no voice, so I won't talk much, but Chief and I think Hope have been working together on updating the information and kind of better defining the issues that have been a little bit of confusion in the neighborhood, so on Bryce and other areas too. So I'll turn it over to either one of them.
I will. I'll start. I just went up the stairs. I'm out of shape. Okay, that has nothing to do with Bryce Road Fire. Okay, their other Bryce Road neighbor was the fact that they got these 3 sheets of paper and they said, these don't match. You know, what they're telling me about the regulations of open burning in the city of Kent are, depending on which piece of paper you look at, they don't match. And I agreed with them, because when I started looking at them, I was like, this doesn't make sense. So the first thing that the fire department and myself sat down to do was to make sure that when we were called out either to Kent or to Franklin Township, that we were giving both of those residents the best information, because Franklin Township has to comply with state law. Of course, Kent residents have to comply with the city law. As far as issues with open burning, some of the more specific things that people complain about, we're always going to have neighbors that don't like it when you light a match and put it to a piece of wood, and no matter how much smoke it makes. On the other hand, you're going to have neighbors that are so rude that they don't care what kind of smoke they make in the neighborhood. So we're on a huge spectrum, and I think our guys are doing a great job of educating and making sure that if the fire needs to be put out, it's put out. And my part of it was just really to get the right message out when we go to, when the guys do go to the residents. Now, I think that the chief has maybe some follow-up on the Bryce Road issue itself and other issues.
Certainly, right. And again, this is nothing new that we've had, even like as late as last night, we had somebody's burning a couch and some carpet. Franklin, hot tub up on Seasons, TV, carpet, trash on Cherry. It really goes on and on, so this is not isolated. We actually ran, in the last year, we have run 19 calls in the city and 10 in the township for open burning. And so far this year, we've had 12 of these types of calls. And some of them range, like Hope said, a regular, just somebody trying to have a recreational fire in their backyard, to, hey, I want to get rid of a TV. I think burning it is probably a pretty good idea. So it's, it's just the way it is. People have a different idea. So I do want to thank Hope and Lieutenant Tyler. They really fixed a lot of the corrections. We've had this frequently asked questions sheet that we've been handing out to people, and I think it was probably 90% correct, but there were just some glaring errors that I think Hope picked up on, and I appreciate that. So we did develop that, and I handed out the little pamphlet. They had come up with a pamphlet. It's a little bit easier to pass out to people. We also keep the frequently asked questions. And at the bottom of that is the one for the state of Ohio, which covers the townships, which is a little bit different than the city ordinance. They're allowed to burn crops. Farmers are allowed to burn their fields and things like that. So I think we've had 3 calls at Bryce, 821 Bryce, the last one being 5-6. Last time we got a complaint there. And they went, the first time it was just a small fire they noted on the fire report. The second time it was just a smoldering piece of wood that was still burning. And the third time there was just coals burning. And neither of those times did the officer report large amounts of smoke, which doesn't really matter because it's up to the caller to complain, because everybody's sensitivity is a little bit different. So that's why we go with, when the caller makes that complaint, we go with what they say. We haven't put it out then. Other times we'll just get the complaint that someone's just having a fire and they don't think they're allowed to have a fire. So we'll go, and if it's meets all the rules, distance and size, and we don't think it's emitting a lot of smoke, we'll allow the fire. Most of the time, I think probably 75% of the time, it's because of smoke, and we haven't put it out yet. So that's how that goes.
Yeah, sorry, Heidi.
I'm curious, it says 50 feet from any structure. How many of us have yards that are 50 feet deep?
I do.
You do? You do, yes, you
And I
do.
just got a comment sitting on.
Huh?
I just got a comment sitting on. It's 170-some feet deep. Is that what your question was?
Well, I'm just saying that in a large portion of the city, a large portion of at least the center city neighborhoods, we're not 50 feet from any structures.
Well, there are actually two regulations. The 50-foot one is if you just have like a burn pit with no chimney. Now, if you get one of those little chimeneas or, say, your grill, that's 15 feet because it's in an approved container. So
grill.
50 for unapproved for container without a chimney, and then 15 for approved.
John? Been a couple years, I get this, what do you call it, the constitutional letter every month on my computer. And there was one community in Ohio that had banned all open burning within the community. And they were challenged by a resident because there's somewhere, I guess as long as they put a hot dog or a hamburger on the grill, they were allowed to open burn. And they won that challenge. What do you know about that?
Right, that's a good point. That's how ours is written. It has to be for consumption of food. Marshmallows, hot dog, s'mores, that, it all counts as food, right?
So even a recreational fire, you have to have food?
You have to have food.
Okay.
Now, my guys aren't going counting hot dogs, and they're not looking, rummaging through their coolers. So,
They're at the end of a stick.
I believe that was the intent of the original ordinance. It was for having a campfire with your friends, roasting hot dogs. It's not just to have a fire for 6 or 8 hours and stink up the whole neighborhood. I think it was just for, I think the time, I can't remember the time, it's
Well, how about
2 hours was it, Hope?
How about
Oh, I
warmth
don't
in the
know.
winter for construction workers?
Now, that is permitted. That's a specific,
Yeah, it's an exception,
I think a burn barrel.
yes.
Further, John?
No, thank you.
Gwen?
This looks nice, looks nice and concise. Thank you very much for looking into that. And I think it makes it a lot clearer for residents, navigate. Nobody wants to get into the middle of a neighbor dispute, but having something that's clearly written and everybody's, can be on the same page when they go out is great. So thank you very much for putting this together.
I think Hope and Lieutenant Tyler did all the work, so.
Well, that's all right. And Hope, thank you. I mean, it's a shame Chief didn't, no, I'm kidding. No, thank you very much to both of you, because I know that you guys were, I know you guys were all, that you worked together and talked to the guys too. And
I appreciate that.
So, thank you.
Gary?
I just wonder, how are we going to handle the asthma people that are smelling the smoke that have problems with that once it's in the air and it's coming into your house?
We put it, that's when we put it out. We do get that kind of call all the time. I have asthma, and I can't even open my windows type of a call, so that's when we put it out.
So it's legal for you to go and put it out just for that reason?
Yeah, if they make a complaint about the odor,
All right.
and we usually allow them to get the garden hose out and put it out. But, yeah, we'll have them put it out.
All right.
John?
If you have the space, are any type of bonfires permitted?
Yes. Yes.
That's a good.
I mean, more than 3 foot,
Yeah, 5 by,
Yeah, that is also an exception. That's not considered under open burning. That's something where, more like an event, where like the school would call the fire department, they'd send one of the fire inspectors out to take a look at how, make sure it's within the proper parameters of how big it is and to make sure that it doesn't get out of control. I don't know, Chief, do you even send people to bonfires?
we ask them if they call us, we generally won't go out.
Okay.
We do when Roosevelt still have that
Yeah.
big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go out and
Yeah.
we'll go out there, but, yeah, bonfire is 5 by 5, and no more than 3 hours. Next for prevention, control of disease or pest, wildlife, or range management, and ceremonial purposes. The Indian guides having a
So
ceremonial.
it can't just be a neighborhood bonfire.
Right, yeah, no.
Okay.
It has to be, and then they have to notify the Akron Air Quality Control, Debbie Walling of Akron Air Quality Control.
Further, John?
No, that's-
Roger, did you have anything?
No, he
Okay.
answered because
Okay.
I always had to get a certificate from the Akron.
Anybody else from council? Anybody from the audience? Back to council?
Move to approve. with them.
I don't think we need
I don't
We
know.
have no,
Is it?
No.
yeah.
No
don't
changes?
need it.
It's
Nope.
just,
Yeah,
it's just
just an
an update.
update.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Yeah.
your hard work.
Okay, the second thing on the agenda is consideration of health department building lease renewal.
I've seen it.
So basically, anybody who complains that says they have an odor, they can put it down.
Good evening, I'm Justin, I'm the interim health commissioner at the health department. Here to talk about the new lease opportunity for the health department building at 414 East Main Street. First, I'd like to apologize for the late notice for the renewal. It was kind of shocking to us when we found out that the renewal was not completed. So now we're kind of scrambling to try to get that accomplished. This is the second amendment to the lease. The first amendment is expiring June 30th of 2019. This second amendment will allow us to stay in the location until 2020, June 30th of 2020. Just wanted to keep in mind too that there is a term in the lease that allows termination of the lease with a 30-day notice by either party. And based on what I was reading on the second amendment, it was not to be renewed after June 30th of 2020. It's a slight increase from the last amendment. It's only going to cost an additional $250 a year, so it's nothing to really sweat about. And I think we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to have another few months, if not a year, at the location that we're at now. So hope you guys strongly consider signing the amendment. So.
Anybody have any questions? John?
Did I hear you say that you have a termination clause 30 days by either party? Is that after the term of the lease? Or, I mean, how can you have a lease and
The original lease allowed a 30-day notice by either party to terminate the lease. That's what happened to us at the Michael Swartz Center.
So what happens if you've got a one-year lease and they come in 3 months and they say, well, we're going to give you a 30-day notice? That's not a lease.
Yes, it is.
It
It's
is?
a lease. It's, I mean, you can agree to any term you want. And because of I believe what Kent State, what the plans they have for that building, they felt that there could come a time that they needed access to it so they could tear it down. And also, since we didn't know, we knew it was not going to be our permanent home, we wanted an out too, in case we could find another home. So it's worked out for us, and we're comfortable with it.
So wouldn't that be a month-to-month rental agreement then?
You know what, basically it is.
Yeah.
But they wanted a term of just a year on it, because I believe they really do want us out next year, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, because I always thought a lease had a beginning and an ending point, you know, unless there's a violations or, as long as you're happy with it.
We feel like
This
Casey's
is- Yeah,
in
this,
favor.
And tell them we're looking.
yep, we are looking for a new location to house.
I just
permanent
hate to see you, you know, get all settled in and then they jam you with a 30-day notice.
Well, we're already settled there, so
Yeah, we've been there for 2 years now.
how many places have you personally looked at or
Two.
considered? Two, okay.
2, 3. So,
Yeah,
maybe talk about those two.
My question was, and Hope and Justin, you kind of said, even though we have this lease, are we looking someplace else?
Yep.
I mean, that was my question, but you kind of got there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody
we're looking
else?
at a few spots. Some were pretty promising. So.
Anybody else from council? Anybody from the audience? Back to council?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in,
With the emergency?
Yes,
with
please.
emergency?
With the emergency.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's all for health and safety.
Finance, Mr. DeLeone.
Here comes Melanie with the surplus goods. You can tell us we sold them all, right? Sold everything.
I'm sorry?
We sold it all, right?
Well, I'm asking to be able to sell it all.
I thought we just did this.
No, well, it's been about 9 months.
Oh, that was the police.
Yeah, so, yeah, the police building was done and gone, but these are some extra things that either didn't sell from there or things that we've accumulated over the last 8, 10, 9 months. So you got the list in front of you. We're just asking for the ability to go ahead and release those and sell them.
Questions? Anybody from the audience have questions?
This is all online.
Yep.
It's all online. Back to council.
I'd move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Melanie. Look at that,
Is that what you're looking at?
With emergency?
with the emergency.
I thought I heard him say emergency.
Okay.
We whispered it.
Budget appropriations is
Very quiet.
Look at how quick you, usually it's like
Wow.
10
Look how
o'clock
early
when this
he
happens.
I know, we're flying. See, that's because Dave's not here, that's why. But yeah, Dave's
Puts a
on
lot of
vacation right
attention to
now.
detail, Dave.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's
Told
on
you were
vacation right
first.
now, that's why you see my face here tonight, so,
You're welcome, though. You're welcome.
thank you. I'm asking for your approval for the appropriation changes that are shown in the memo to the city manager, and it's dated May 29th, 2019. Any questions?
Questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Tim? Back to council?
Move to approve.
Second?
Emergency.
I think it's
Second?
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Local government funding, is that you?
Yes. The proposed resolution that you received in your packet was provided by Mayor Fiala from the Ohio the Governor, Mayor's Association. Sorry. Back in 2011, the local government funding was cut by over 50%. It went from 3.68% of the general revenue funds to over 1.6. And what this resolution would do, and we could send a certified copy of it to Columbus, is to beg the state of Ohio to put cities and townships and villages first again, or at least make them more of a priority, and help us get funding for the things that we need.
Questions?
Move to approve with 3 emergencies.
And no questions? Anybody in the audience?
Second.
Back to council?
Yeah, move to approve with 3 emergencies.
Second. Seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that really hurt when they cut us, and we were in position to, at least we were in position to start to make up some of that through increased revenues, through all the construction that we had. But, you know, it's still really relevant for us to get some of that funding back, and it's also important to other,
No, no. No, it's.
to other communities as well.
Oh, Mike, that's right.
Jack?
Yeah, you know, I think this was an unconscionable move on the state's part, and it put so many townships and cities in such dire straits. We were pretty fortunate that we were able to do, to survive here, but there are some cities who are struggling still. And I think that we have to do whatever we can to try to get that money back, so.
Jerry, and then
Yeah. Just saying, I haven't heard the dollar amount, but if my calculations remember, it's just shy of $1 million a year. A year though. Over a year, and what
In
we,
total.
Ouch.
because our last governor wanted to balance the state budget,
Office.
it put us in a real bad situation where we weren't doing things that we should have done. And if we can do this, and I'm echoing some of the mayors I met with last week, you know, we can do something. But it's my understanding now that when the census comes out, it's based on population, so it could change what we'll get. we may not get what we got before, but we may get more depending on the census.
Roger?
Well, I was just going to echo what Jerry said. If you do the math, it's over $8 million from 2011 to 2019.
Yeah.
You know, I keep harping on that our state legislators and with the former governor pulled the rug out from beneath all the communities to do road work, sidewalks, do all those things that we want to do. So yeah, this has to be done. I mean, we actually need to get the community to write letters to our congresspeople to let them know.
Wouldn't hurt. Further from council? Anybody from the audience? Back to council?
I think we already did the
Yeah, we
motion.
did that.
Already did it.
Yeah, we did. We were just making comments.
Yeah.
Didn't-
All those were comments? Okay,
Did we
all those in
vote?
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I was trying to give him another chance.
Well, yeah, I did have 3 emergency
Hey,
clauses.
Chad,
Okay, the Heritage Fest fireworks funding.
You want me to say something?
I don't
Okay, it's my understanding that there was a letter sent by Michelle Hartman, who's the finance director for Heritage Festival, that the fireworks company raised at 10%. Basically the same firework, 20-minute fireworks display we're putting on. So they're in need of another $1,200. Presently, we give them $12,000, but they need another $1,200 to pay the bill this year, so it's pretty cut and dry.
Roger?
But being on the Chamber of Commerce Board, this is part and parcel to the Donald Trump tariffs on China. No, it's truthfully, that the fireworks company, I believe, is covering themselves because the increased costs by the increased tariffs on China. And we just got to be honest about it. That's where this is coming from. So, yeah, it needs to be covered. They don't have the money.
Gwen?
I just want to point out that the Heritage Fest is such a enjoyable family activity. There are so many, literally thousands of people that take great pleasure in viewing the fireworks. Every year I walk down there with my family. It's idyllic that you can walk to your small downtown and view fireworks with the rest of your community. And being the largest city in the county, I think it's really important. I think it's a tremendous quality of life that we provide by being able to do it. And sometimes the cost of things go up a little bit. If we've got it in the budget and we're able to do so, I think it's money well spent. I think it feels good all around, and it's a wonderful opportunity to families to come downtown and just enjoy our downtown in just a pleasant summer evening.
Heidi?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Roger, since you seem to be in the know, do you know
Just a
whether,
little bit.
do you know whether the chamber has shopped this out? Because there are some locally made fireworks.
Well,
you
it's
know,
up,
in
but it's the
just
company.
over the border.
It's the company that puts the bid out. So when they put a bid to do the fireworks, it's a little late right now to try to get, we do this a year ahead of time. So, yeah, it's problematic.
Further questions? Anybody in the audience? Back to council?
Bang.
Move to approve.
With the emergency, with emergency, John?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'll second that.
of course, emergency.
Discussion?
Yeah. I think it's, I'll reiterate what Gwen said, it's such an important and such a great evening for people, and I would hate to see them not be able to have fireworks. That would not be good.
Yeah,
So,
great.
Further? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
I'm done.
I'm going to make my comments.
We got to be careful because actually, we budgeted $12,000 in our budget last year, and now this is going to raise the budget for next year, so.
Can we look into, I'll find out from Bill Bader that owns Norwalk, who does their fireworks. 'Cause there's nothing like it in the world. I don't know what their pricing's like, but maybe we could look at contacting them for next year.
Well,
Put in for bids.
I think you'd have to go to the chamber, they're the ones that put the Heritage
That's
Fest
the
on.
one who does
It
it?
doesn't say they can't.
Maybe I'll get them some information first.
There you go.
I would
Get it
call
to
Lori
me,
Wim
John,
Hof.
you bring me the information, or get me the information, I'll take it to the board meeting of the chamber.
Can Nancy approve it?
No, not Nancy.
Then have to close the.
That's it for finance?
Yep, that's all you.
Now we're gonna go into work session, the City Hall project update.